What are multifamily operators tasked with? What do they deal with on an ongoing basis? And really putting yourself in their shoes is the only way to do that.
Hi, I'm Glennis Murkison, the senior content producer here at HappyCo. Today, I'm excited to have a little chat with Caren Maio, who's the co-founder of Funnel Leasing, about the importance of empathy in property tech. I gave Caren many options of a Zoom background. We chose the same one, meant to be. But just a little background on her. She has more than 10 years of experience in real estate tech and was named one of the top 3 female entrepreneurs to look out for by Metro. Caren, thank you for joining us to talk empathy.
Of course. Thanks for having me, Glennis. Great to be here with you.
Yeah, we're so excited. I think if we could get started and just talk about the customer side of the equation a bit, just why it's important to put yourself in their shoes and what that makes possible.
100%. So, we've always tried to approach our customer conversations. This is early on in the beginning days, as well as even to today, staying close to our customer, really, kind of getting in the weeds with them, getting in the trenches, letting them know that we're there to understand and hear their problems, workshop solutions. And I think approaching customer conversations with a general sense of curiosity and empathy has always served us, right? Like early on, we shadowed our customers in their offices. We assembled an advisory board and really tried to solicit feedback early and often, particularly starting a B2B company. When you understand the pain, and in our case, that was apartment leasing, right? We understood the pain from the consumer end. We wanted to really build up that same sense of knowledge on the business side, right? What are multifamily operators tasked with? What do they deal with on an ongoing basis? And really putting yourself in their shoes is the only way to do that, at least in my experience. So being able to approach those conversations thoughtfully and with a healthy sense of curiosity served us well, and it let our customers know that we were listening.
That's wonderful. Yeah, the power of listening. I think that relates to so much to the next question about work culture. How are you working to have empathy in a work culture where ultimately that's going to affect the end user? How is that kind of dynamic you can build around empathy when you're really just on a coworker level at this point?
100%. Well, we've always believed that a high tide rises all ships, right? And making sure that everyone understands what success looks like, everyone shares the same values, everyone's kind of moving in the same direction. And we always try to hire and attract and retain talent who's motivated by the fact that they can make an immediate impact on the company, on our progress internally, right? Really driving culture. And I think it's that same sense of curiosity, right? Like, just to give you an example, last year when COVID hit, right, and it affected everyone, we spent a lot of time surveying, asking questions, and trying to do it in a variety of formats to make sure we could kind of meet people where they were at that time, right? Some folks can be a bit more vocal and they'll have a one-to-one conversation. Other folks tend to want to deliver feedback in a more anonymous setting or in a more, maybe through survey feedback, right? So we tried to open up the lines of communication in a variety of ways to understand how people were feeling, some of the ways that, they were dealing with, by and large, right? Folks were feeling anxious, a year and a half ago, right? And what could we put in place to solve for that, right? Or to try to remedy some of those less desirable feelings, some of those negative feelings, right? Of anxiety, stress, et cetera. And the way that we thought about that was around over communication, right? I actually believe there's almost no such thing as over communication, right? Particularly in a time of, sort of dealing with the unknown, right? We were in uncharted territory in March of last year. So the way that we thought about that, and a lot of this, frankly, was based on soliciting feedback from our team members. The way we thought about that was, a good way to combat anxiety and stress and fear of unknown is through communication, right? And getting everyone together through all hands meetings. We ratcheted up the cadence there and, had more frequent sort of all hands conversations and said, listen, there's a lot that we don't know. And we'll tell you that we don't know. and the things that we're working through and the things that we're trying to figure out, we're going to keep those lines totally open with every single team member. And we're going to talk about things openly and honestly. And we're not going to keep things from you. We're going to be transparent. And we ask for that same sense of honesty and curiosity and openness back. And I think that helped quell just some of the natural anxiety that was occurring at this time last year, even, a few months before that. So, again, it comes down to listening,
Yeah.
and responding in kind.
I think that's so powerful. And moving to the piece about partnerships and integrations, you have to work with somebody else whose mode of operating, core values might be different. Why is empathy important in that equation, ultimately affecting the end user as well?
It's a great question. I think when approaching partners and partnerships, I think even back to early days, right? When I first met Jindo from HappyCo.
I've heard that name. I've heard the name.
You're familiar, right? He's on a very short list of other founders that I think about when I just think about my sort of organic roundtable of folks who have come together. We've come together, largely because, a lot of us came up around the same time, right? When Jindo was starting HappyCo, I was starting Funnel, previously named Nestio, right? And we actually met on a panel. And after that started to have, a conversation and, kind of reconnected even afterwards. And he was always one of those founders who I just thought approached every conversation with such a refreshing sense of openness and vulnerability. And I like to think I approach conversations in a similar way. And what comes out from that is you're able to go deeper faster, and you're able to talk about, here's what's going well. Here are areas where I'm having challenges or struggling. And, there's a sense of camaraderie that develops from that, right? And a sense of empathy. And, you're just able to go deeper, faster. And how that translates even in larger business partnership conversations, right? I think when you approach those conversations from a sense of openness and interest and curiosity, you're able to understand, what goals that other company, that partner company is looking to achieve, what matters to them, what doesn't matter to them, where they're winning, where they're struggling. And, when you think about an actual business arrangement or partnership, you're able to approach it from a slightly different lens, right? Of, okay, great. What's going to, kind of be a winning result for you? What will be a winning result for me? Ultimately, what will be a winning result for the shared customer? Versus just thinking about it in a more one-dimensional view of what's in it for me, right? And I think that's true of every conversation, right? That's true of customers, team members, potential partners. But again, for me, what's worked so well is, being open, being vulnerable, being transparent and honest. And I find that I just naturally vibe with folks that give me the same. And it's proven, it's proven to just operating in that way. It's proven to be a winning formula for us and for me personally. And yeah, that's generally just how I think about all these things.
Wonderful. Caren, thank you so much for being here. This was specific. This was timely. Just really informative for anyone listening. So I really appreciate your taking the time to be with us.
Oh, of course. Likewise. Thanks for having me. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.